Daddy Mac. Dan's 30 years got our way, trading life and markets every day. Rusty's chained to the mines, digging deep day by day. But when Option Omega releases new features, he's free to come out and play option. Omega, you're trading home, where every move makes you feel less alone.
Morning, everybody. How's everybody
Beautiful
doing
song. I had not heard the intro song before. That's amazing.
That's Troy singing, by the way.
Troy outdid himself on that one.
No, listen. I told Matt, I told Dan and Steve this the other day. Welcome, everybody. Steve from Navigation Trading. A privilege for you to be here. I told them the other day, we had a Zoom call, and I said it's weird to make this introduction because these two guys on my screen, at least the bottom two, really taught me most of what I know about options, and I thought it's like getting Larry Bird and LeBron together, and they're just talking to each other. That's how I feel about it. So
wow,
I'll
Troy,
let you.
that's quite the intro.
I'll let you
I
guys
prefer
work
Michael
it out.
Jordan over LeBron, but whatever.
Well, Steve, it was great to have you, and I hope you have a good time. So, no, most people are like that. But Steve, you run Navigation Trading. Do you care just to give a quick intro for people who don't, the small amount of people here maybe who don't know who you are?
Yeah, so we started Navigation Trading back in 2016. I started trading futures and stocks back in 1999, early 2000, during the internet tech bubble. Didn't start trading options till about 2006 or so, and then started Navigation Trading in about 2016 to really just kind of show people what I was doing. And so we've got kind of step-by-step video courses for different strategies that we trade. I post all my trades live as I do them. We live stream for the first hour and the last hour every single day. And just kind of help people fill in the gaps and just have a little fun on our live streams. And so we've got a Discord community, got a lot of folks who are coming in who are just trying to learn the ropes, brand new, just trying to figure things out. And we've got all the way up to, professional traders, hedge fund managers, just full-time traders, and kind of everybody in between. So it's a great group. Part of it is me teaching, and a lot of it is me learning from the community as well. So it's been an amazing journey. So it's kind of a high level overview. And
Steve trades everything. Like that navigation is there's groups. It's like Dan. I mean, there's groups where they got like one strategy, and this is kind of their bread and butter strategy. And then what happens usually is those groups usually go away after a bad day. I mean, I've seen a couple of these through the last couple of years, and so Steve's group is one of those groups where they trade everything, and because of that, you really do get a good understanding of options just from the type of trades they do, because they're putting on calendars, they're putting on condors, they're putting on spreads, they're putting on different with condors, like they're doing stuff all day long. And I will be honest, there's times where Steve has a trade in his community, a specific calendar, and he'll kind of put it on random times. And man, I love that alert, because as soon as that alert goes on, I just, like a little ape, I just follow right along. And, sometimes, it's good to know options. It's good to learn options. It's good to learn the craft. Sometimes it's nice just to see people, put trades on. I've done that with Dan. Dan has a Discord as well. And, it's nice to be in these and just, to be honest, just steal trades a lot of times for my own benefit. So I'm thankful.
Right. You're promoting the wrong thing. We're trying to teach people how to learn how to trade, not copy trades. I have to beat this horse every day in my community. You just ruined it.
No, it's it's a great introduction. I like playing the fool, and so I do it very easily.
Can I give
It's
can
like
I give a quick
theoretical-
shout out to NT?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to give you Matt's favorite things about NT. I have just a list of 3 quick things. The first thing is, which you just talked about, is the teaching mindset. And like we deal with the same thing. Like every day we're on this show trying to talk about why things are, instead of just spoon feeding them out and then having them, taken in without any understanding. So I love the teaching mindset. But the 2 things that I absolutely love about Steve and NT is, number 1, the transparency, because like you spend like 5 minutes on Reddit and sometimes on Twitter and like read the options forums, and you just want to like punch yourself in the face, because these people are so taken in by snappy headlines and video thumbnails of like inauthentic stuff. And so like I just have always so respected Steve's transparency with everything. Steve, how long have you been posting your trades? 7 years, did you say? Is that right?
Since 2016, so almost 10.
That's
9, I guess.
That's incredible. And like it ties into the third thing that I love about you guys, which is I really believe that if you want to do trading as something more than just a very, very casual hobby, you need to plug into a community of some sort. And there are, again, I think a lot of these people seem to be going it alone, and NT is a great community. So between the transparency and the teaching, the community, those are Matt's 3 favorite things. But shout out.
I love that it's
appreciate
like
it, Matt.
It's like a memorial service. Like Steve was the best. This was just past. This,
Yeah,
this
I
guy.
mean, we can keep going. I this is good, guys. I
If
like
you're okay
this.
with
We can
it.
do this every
Yeah.
morning.
No, this is perfect. Yeah, motivational call. And this is Steve, we're trying to get sponsors for the show. So if you want, Dan and Matt and I to leave a voicemail every morning telling you that you're a good person, it's not your fault, it's the market's fault. We will do that.
It's like recruiting 18-year-olds.
And gosh darn it, people like me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's recruiting 18. Yeah, that's right. Steve, so here's the question. CPI number came out. I haven't looked at the CPI number, but I guess it was a cool number because the market's up. That's my theory. Is there any difference on CPI days for you? What does CPI day look for you usually in the trading regime?
Well, I think first to the first point, I don't know that I've looked at an actual CPI reading in
100%.
12 years. I have zero idea of what rates coming in at or what is being posted. But yeah, all I do is look at the market reaction. Obviously, the market's up. Let's see. It looks like it's up about 30 points in the S&P from the data release. VIX was slightly green, and now it's down 6.5%. So, which is normal, typical huge vol crush after a big data release. And so, for me, really today, and going back to kind of what we do in our community is, I've actually this year had more and more of a focus on directional day trading, using just your high beta, super active stocks along with indices. But because of the large price swings that we've seen this year, a lot of it tariff related and all that stuff. But to go back to your original question, what am I looking for today? On a day where we have a big data release like this, like CPI, my main focus is going to be on directional trading. I think, a lot of times we get some decent price swings, which when I can anticipate days that we're going to have decent price swings, that's typically going to be my focus. And I have less of a focus on delta neutral selling premium type strategies, especially now with the VIX already, all the premium being sucked out of the options. There may be some crumbs left of premium to sell today, but so my focus will be on directional trading.
I love it. And go ahead, Matt.
I was just going to say, Steve, there's a lot of different vehicles, several different vehicles that people can use stocks, ETFs, levered ETFs, futures. Why do you like options? I don't know if you do much besides options, but why do you like options as kind of the primary vehicle that you use or talk about the most?
So options they give you the flexibility to take any assumption you want. So if I'm buying and selling stocks, I can go long or I can go short. If I'm buying or selling futures, I can go long or I can go short. That's it. With options, you just have the flexibility to build any type of spread based on your assumption. Maybe you think it's going to go up a lot. Well, that's a different trade than if you think it's going to go up a little. Maybe you think price is just going to stay in a range. Well, you can't do that with stocks or futures. So it's just the ability and the flexibility to build any type of strategy around any type of assumption that you have.
Hey,
Yeah.
Steve,
And the leverage, right? The leverage, of course, is great too if you know how to use it correctly.
Steve, two quick questions. One on see, I can remember this. I have two questions with D in it, so I can remember that. So one on durations. Obviously with the advent of 0-day and weeklies, which we didn't have like 20 years ago, you had to trade much further dated stuff. What in a typical week, what durations are you trading mostly? And also you mentioned directional. Are I'm from the trading pits mostly. Very few were any good at directional. It was more directional was contrarian, period. Mostly contrarian. If 5 people said the market's going up, I'm buying puts. If 5 people said it's going down, I'm buying. When you're doing directional, how much is contrarian? How much are you using? A Fibonacci. I mean, is there favorite technicals that you like? Maybe address that a little bit if you could.
Yeah. So, and to take a quick step back, 10 years ago, I would say I was doing very little, if any, day trading. I was all, 20, 30, 60, 90 days out in duration, selling premium, doing longer duration spreads and things like that. And I've completely gravitated to almost 100% intraday trading now. Like
Intraday, okay.
Yeah, in intraday, where I held a calendar overnight a couple weeks ago, and that was the first overnight position I've had in 3 months. And that's really been just this year. And a lot of it has to do with, I think in January and February, I got smoked a little bit on some overnight over the weekend calendars with all the tariff and headline risk. And so I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to focus on intraday until things kind of settle down. And I just kind of started getting used to liking the idea of no risk overnight. And so I've just stayed in that realm. And so yeah, almost everything that I do is intraday these days. And so that's my duration, is just in and out in the same day. From a structure of a position standpoint, when I'm day trading directionally on individual stocks, and it's all just the biggest stocks, most active: Tesla, Nvidia, Microsoft, Meta, Apple, all the big ones, probably the top, I would say top 20 or top 30 most active are the ones that I stick to. And really I'm just buying calls to go long and buying puts to go short. And I used to be completely against that. I mean, I was a hardcore premium seller. In fact, I always said I sell premium because I can't make money directionally. And that's kind of shifted, and kind of the unlock, or the what kind of started to get me to another level of profitability on my directional trading was, number one, I got rid of all indicators. I mean, if you look at my charts, I literally have a black background, and my candles are white and gray. Like, I took all the colors out. I took all the indicators off. I completely cleaned it off. So the only thing that I use I look for stocks that are moving, and really when the overall market is moving too is much better. But I look for stocks that are moving, and then I use levels. So a couple levels that I always have on my chart is the previous day's high and low. I just to give me that range.
Sure.
And then I will, sometimes I will draw, a trend line, or, but that's kind of the extent of it. It's like the previous day's high, low, sometimes close, and then, I'll draw a trend line. And all that is, and I think this is where a lot of traders get it wrong, is that they think there is some value. They think there's a higher probability in using a Fibonacci level, or a VWAP, or an EMA, or a blah, 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 blah. Okay. And here's the reality. A level is a level is a level. And if anyone from my community is listening, they're gonna be like, I've heard this 127 times in the last week. But that's the reality, is that what matters is how you manage risk around a level. It has nothing to do whether it's a 618 Fibonacci or a volume weighted average price or whatever. It's a level. And all that matters is how you manage risk around it. And so that's what I've gotten really good at. And that's why my performance of my directional trading has gone up so much, is because I've just gotten really, really good about managing risk around a level. So if I get in, if I'm bullish on that particular stock, and a lot of it is, a lot of times to your question, I'm not necessarily trading from a contrarian standpoint. It's more trying to catch moves in a direction. So more with the trend, but managing risk around that level. And if that level doesn't hold, then I'm cutting my losses quickly. If that level does hold and the stock runs, I try to squeeze as much profit out of it as possible.
And you're doing it on a 0 day versus you're not like holding a 3-day trade or something.
No, obviously if I'm trading options on stocks, they only expire on Friday. So, today I might be trading what is today? Today's Tuesday. So I'd be trading a 3-day option.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Is that right? Yeah. But I'm only holding it. I'm getting in and out today. Yeah. The 3 DTE is what I'd be trading on the stocks today.
That's liberating to go home overnight. I mean, I don't know if I've ever done it. I mean, to not have overnight risk, that is liberating. I mean, this is all
new to me too.
Yeah, it's liberating. Yeah, liberation day every day.
Liberation day. Yeah, that's right. A couple questions real quick, just out of curiosity. You might have said this already. When you're drawing a trend line, what time frame are you drawing the trend line on? Like a 5-minute or 15-minute?
I'm usually executing trades off of a 5-minute, but I will I'll draw trend lines or levels on a daily chart, or a 15-minute chart. So some higher time frames just to get a zoomed out view. But and then my execution's almost always on a 5-minute.
Gotcha. And then on the, so you're doing, you're using options for that. Yeah, if I'm correct, you're not using stock for that type of thing. You're using the power of leverage for day trading. So you're buying puts, buying calls. Yeah,
correct.
And how do you view, when people are new to the community, how do you tell people to size something like that? Because people might understand the concept of like, okay, a condor, I know my sizing. Is it similar for people getting used to that idea of trading?
So the way that I do it is, because when you're trading options on stocks and they only expire on Friday, sometimes you're going to be trading a 1 DTE option. Sometimes you're going to be trading a 7 DTE option. Well, a 7 DTE option moves a lot slower than a 1 DTE option, right? It's completely different. The P&L swings on that type of duration is night and day. So what I do is I have just kind of a scale that I look at. So let's say, just to make the numbers easy, if I want, and this is how I've really dialed in my risk management is when I go into a trade, my number one focus is how much am I willing to risk on this trade to see if I'm right. And so if my level holds, okay, I'll potentially risk this amount. If it really goes against me quickly and I can't get out, what's the max risk I want to take? So let's say that number is $1,000 on a trade for easy numbers. Well, if I'm trading a 1 DTE option, if that thing moves against you, you could be down 50% like that, right? On a 1 DTE option. So if I'm trading a 1 DTE option and I want my max risk to be $1,000, I would only buy $2,000 worth of that option. So I look at it from a buying power standpoint. So if my max risk on a 1 DTE is 1,000, I would only buy $2,000 because I know that if it goes against me and I can manage it in a normal moving market, I may take a loss of $300 to $500, which is okay.
Yep.
If it really goes against me, I'm pretty sure I can almost always get out for $1,000 loss, which would be my max loss, right?
Sure.
And so then if I'm trading a 7 DTE option and my max risk is 1,000, I might buy $4,000 worth because it moves a lot slower. If I take a 25% loss on that, that's going to take a pretty significant move to lose 25% on a 7 DTE option versus a 1. So it depends on the duration that I'm buying, but that's how I look at it.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
That's a great explanation. See, I've been teaching for 20 years, and what he just said, I could have used that like 15 years ago to explain to students. That's why I've been confusing people for so long, because it's like the thing of doing, okay, why do you do more size on a 15 to 20 day trade than you do on a 3-day trade or a 2-day trade or a 1 day? That's a great explanation. Because I could say the gamma, but that's a confusing thing. But you're right. You're going to lose, you lose money so much quicker on a 1 day than a 3. And that's why, but I think for the wrong reason, sometimes people will a 30-day, 40-day trade, but it goes both ways. The theta is like getting a drip from a faucet, right? A drop. So yeah, that's the great explanation. Yeah.
And then if I'm trading 0 DTE, whether it's on a stock on a Friday, or you could trade 0 DTE on SPY or QQQ or IWM any day, because they have everyday expiration options. If I'm trading 0-day options, which are great when they move in your favor because they print really quickly, but on the flip side, they can lose very quickly too. So if I'm trading a 0-day option, and using the same example, if I'm risking $1,000, I will only buy $1,000 worth of that option because that thing can go to 0.
Have you ever thought of, or have you ever, you're doing more calls and puts, have you ever, hey, maybe this one's a little crazier, I'll do a vertical debit spread, or do you just keep your size and just do singles, just keep it easy? Or what have you ever, what's your thoughts on verticals versus longs, or how do you look at that?
Yeah. No, I've certainly done plenty of vertical spreads in that way. I've really just kind of kept it more simple, buying puts and buying calls, for with the volatility that we've had, but I'll do it a couple different ways. If I like the stock and I think there's a potential for it to move that day, but I also think it may sit there and chop for a while, that's kind of the instance where I do a vertical spread, because then you have the positive theta working on your benefit. The other thing that I'll do every once in a while is I'll start out with a call. Let's say I'm bullish, I'll start out with a call, and if it goes in my direction, I don't necessarily want to get out, but I don't want to close it, but I think there might be more, but it might be in a period of where the market's just starting to consolidate. Then I might sell a call against that and turn it into a vertical after I've already had it go in my favor. So those would be the two different ways, but I would say 90% of the time I'm just, getting in and out with the directional puts and calls.
Steve, I have a question about how you decide kind of where to spend your time as far as symbols in industries and even sectors. I guess what I mean is I've kind of now you're doing more the kind of single stock stuff, but you still do a good amount of SPX stuff. A couple of years ago, I think you were at a spot where you did nearly all SPX stuff. So how do you kind of judge indices versus single stocks? Are you looking at like the VIX environment, or the president, or the election, or like kind of what are the criteria you use to decide how I'm going to spend my time and my options dollars here, or spread it in this kind of ratio between different things?
Yeah. So for all my 0 DTE premium selling is all SPX. And
Yeah.
so I will, so I do a couple of things. One, shout out to Option Omega. I use back-tested strategies for that.
Thank you.
I also do some, discretionary premium selling if I think I can, anticipate pockets of consolidation throughout the day. So that would be, kind of the 0 DTE SPX type stuff. And like I said, today after CPI, if I'm sensing we're going to continue moving after this data report, I'll focus on directional and I'll stay away from delta neutral. If that was the move kind of pre-market and we ended up, just kind of chopping around, maybe I'll refocus on delta neutral. So just kind of, it's a day-to-day thing. I'm just trying to figure out day-to-day if I can anticipate, which is way easier said than done, but if I can anticipate whether it's going to be a choppy day versus a trend day, then I'll try to focus on one or the other. And I've tried to do both, but you get in a delta neutral trade where you're kind of rooting for it to stay in a range, and then you get in a directional trade and you're rooting for it to explode in one direction or the other. Mentally, that's a little tough. I've been able to compartmentalize that sometimes, but sometimes I try to stick with just kind of one or the other. Sorry, go ahead, Troy.
No, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to continue on Matt's conversation. The other thing, in looking at individual stocks versus indices, one of the things that I do with my directional trading that's also been, I think, kind of an enhancement to that directional trading is I use the indices to gauge relative strength or weakness of the individual stocks that I'm trading. So, if the NASDAQ is up 0.5%, but NVIDIA is exploding and it's up 2% and it's pushing, well, that's got a lot of relative strength compared to the NASDAQ, or a lot of times I'll compare the chip stocks to SMH, which is the ETF for semiconductors. So I'm looking at the individual stocks and how they're moving in relation to the indices or to the ETF or benchmark that they fit into, and focusing on longs with relatively strong stocks and only focusing on shorts on the relative weakness versus their index or benchmark.
How much do you look at, like to me, the only, it's stocks, you like playing stocks, but liquidity is such a big deal, at least, you don't want to get in something where you're giving a lot of slippage. Do you look at a lot of liquidity? The CBOE used to have, I can't find it now. They used to have, like, you can get, like, every week or every month, they would post the statistics, how many options traded for each stock. And I used to use that as kind of a barometer. I don't know if they have it anymore, but how much does liquidity play an issue? Because obviously your Tesla, your NVIDIA, Apple, but there's a big drop off after some of those. What does liquidity play a role with with stocks?
Yeah, I think with directional trading, the way I do it with just buying puts and calls, I think, I think the top 50 actively traded stocks are not a problem. Yeah, and I just gauge that by looking at the option chain and seeing the open interest and volume. Yeah. But I haven't had any issue with kind of the top 50. I rarely go that low, but top 30 for sure, not an issue. Now, if you get into trading spreads, obviously the more legs you have, even the more important liquidity is. But the one good thing about a single leg, just a put or a call, is getting in and out with those top 30, top 50 actively traded stocks not been a problem.
In reality, would you say, like you mentioned, top 30? To me, that would be a lot for me. I would lose consciousness just because I couldn't keep up with 30. Do you find yourself looking at a 30, or would you say in reality maybe there's 4 or 5 horses that you're in most of the time?
Yeah, so I have 4 monitors
Oh
that I look
my.
at, and actually a 5th. I have a
This is
Mac
NASA.
computer over here. But I've got 4 monitors, and then I've got on Thinkorswim is the primary platform that I look at, and so I've got grid charts that are broken down into. So I've got 8 charts on each grid.
Oh my.
And so on one of them I have the Mag 7 plus Netflix.
Okay.
So that's one grid.
Okay.
And then on another grid, I have all the semiconductor chip stocks because those tend to move. And so, that's NVIDIA, it's AMD, it's AVGO, it's SMCI, MU. Yeah. So so I have my Mag 7 board, I've got my chip stock board, and then I have my financial board. So that's got the big 3 banks, and it's got all the crypto stocks on it. So those are so each one of those boards.
So you
each one of those boards. Well, when I say cryptos, that means MSTR, Coinbase, and Robinhood. Those are all super actively traded stocks. So those are my 3 main boards that I look at. And then I have a watch list, kind of a main watch list just on the side that I can scroll through and sort by biggest movers. So if something's up a lot, it'll kind of catch my eye, and then I'll put it on my board. But that's how I kind of manage it.
Steve, would it be fair to say that you're not trading anything implied volatility in the 20s? You're trading the 40 to 70 implied volatility. Would that be fair? Would that be fair?
For directional, yeah, high beta, baby. I want if it's moving, I'm trading it.
So you're not trading Microsoft and these type of kind of, well, sometimes, but I mean,
yeah, if it's moving.
Yeah, you're right. If it's moving. Okay.
So I got 2 more questions real quick, and then we should wrap it up so you can get to your stuff because you got a full slate of things yourself. But I'm just interested. I mean, you backtest a ton. You do a ton of backtesting. You have been a great, teacher in that regard of teaching backtesting. There's a trade, you do a lot of calendars, and there's a calendar trade that you do. It's a 6-7 DTE calendar, and you'll fire it, and it's a backtestable thing, but you trade it in a really unique way. Do you know what I'm talking about? The one where you'll just kind of pop it off, and at different times. And I love the way you trade it. But it's a cool thing because you're taking a backtest, but you're trading it in a way that's requires knowing a little bit more about when to do it and when not to do it than just the backtest itself. There's a little bit more knowledge involved in it. How do you determine when to open trades like that? Something that you backtested, but it's not the open time, and yet you'll open it.
Yeah. So I'll give you the kind of the high level thought process around that trade. It's just a 6-7 put calendar. So it's not a double calendar. It's just a 6-7 put calendar. I like it to open it Fridays, and I like to open it first thing in the morning when the market opens. And then what I have found, and this is part backtesting, part anecdotal, just trading it, and that is if the profits start coming into the trade early, it seems to tend to continue to come in later.
Almost always.
And so what I'll do is I'll enter my first tranche at the open, and then if I see the profits kind of coming in quickly and prices moved a little bit, I'll add another tranche at a different strike and try to just enhance the performance. And so that's just a Friday morning trade, and then the vast majority of time I'm just taking that off by the end of the day.
So it's interesting. You said a Friday 6-7, but you're literally putting on Friday morning. Most of it's off on Friday afternoon.
Yep.
Interesting.
And I've had situations where it's booked as much as 60% in
Oh,
one day.
Dan, it's incredible to watch. I mean, because I'll pay attention to it, and I think I've told Matt and Rusty this before. I think with calendars, you could look at this as double calendars. Almost always, they have a tendency to move in tandem because it's like a vol wave that's happening with pricing sometimes, and so there's no more confidence I have than when I have a couple calendars on that start winning. I will quite often actually put more on myself, and I learned that from Steve because you can watch it and it's just like, hey, it's in similar vein. If a calendar's losing, and you put another calendar, if you tranche a calendar when it's losing, it quite often doesn't turn around.
Yeah.
It's either a win or a loss, and so
Yep.
It is a weird thing where you kind of have to ride that wave. It's boogie boarding a little bit, and
But it's kind of going back to what I was saying before, where I used to do a ton of overnight stuff, and I just started putting this on, when I'm almost trading this 6-7 on Fridays. I'm almost trading it like a 0 DTE iron condor.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's a 0 DTE alternative.
Yes.
Yeah. And as someone who hates 0-day iron condors personally, in my own psychology, I love that.
Troy approves this message.
Troy approves.
Yeah.
Troy, do you want to mention Saturday before we let Steve go here?
Yeah. So again, shout out. Steve's awesome, and we want him on all the time. So Dan and Steve are going to be doing a long form interview just to hear a little bit more about Steve's stuff. If you liked what this is, we're looking forward to that. 2, be on the lookout for some more content stuff that we're talking about doing together, which I think is going to be really cool, helpful to both communities. And then 3, Steve, you've got a guy in your community named Tim Weiss who's giving a talk Saturday. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and where people can find that?
Yeah, we actually just sent out the invitation email this morning to our group, and then as I mentioned to you, I'd love to invite the Option Omega community as well, because I think they'd get a lot of value out of it. Because you said that you think that I backtest a lot, which I do. I do nothing compared to this guy.
Tim loves
Tim Weiss.
Option Omega.
He's a monster.
Backtest.
He's a monster. Yeah.
If you had the records of who's run the most backtests on Option Omega lifetime, he might be Wizzy's probably up there, but Tim Weiss is in the conversation. So anyway, he's been kind of refocused over the last few months on a specific way that he trades, what he calls some different multi-trunch 0 DTE stuff. And he's gonna kind of share some of the concepts. It's not going to be one of those things where he's handing out all of his, exact back tests or anything like that. It's going to be more of the conceptualizing what he's doing, how you can develop your own multi-trunch strategy. And we're doing that this Saturday, August 16th at 2 p.m. Central. So that'd be 3 p.m. Eastern. And then you guys got the rest of the time zones, but 2 p.m. Central, the link in your, did you say the resources channel? Is that the place to do it?
Yeah. Resources and test straps.
So I'll post.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I'll post the link in the Discord, in the Option Omega community for anyone who's interested. And I'd highly encourage you to attend live, because it's going to be good.
And Steve, if people are scared of day trading options, but they trust what you've said so far, where can they learn more about what you do and how you do it?
Yeah, just navigationtrading.com, and you'll be able to find your way to the community. We have like I said, a great Discord community of people who are just getting started all the way up to advanced professional traders and everybody in between. So, and the great thing that I love, that I'm proud of with our community, is everybody's kind of there to help each other. So there's no stupid questions or feeling like you're so far behind. Like, everybody's really helpful. So,
and I've
navigationtrading.com.
I will go in there quite often and ask really stupid questions just to test them. Yeah, they've always been very kind.
And you've never been told that's a dumb question, have you, Troy?
Not in public, not on the public chat. So yeah. Anyway, well, guys, Steve, thanks so much for taking the time. Appreciate you. Shout out Navigation. we'll definitely have you on again if it's all right.
All right. Love to, you guys. I appreciate the invite. And yeah, I'd love to come on any other time.
All right, guys. Well, listen, have a great trading day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.